All right, we're going to finish up the second part of the first flip faculty meeting. We've talked about common grading issues. We talked about the checkpoint observation. One thing we need to talk about really quickly is mega test day drills. Mr. Johnson wanted us to point out that when we have a code orange, or that's when the students actually evacuate the building, students should exit the building at the nearest exit to your classroom. We had a lot of classrooms going all the way through the building, through the gym, to get to the football field. If it was truly a bomb threat situation, we want to get the students out of the building as fast as possible so they're as safe as possible, and taking them through the building and through the gym would definitely not be that route. So let's just look for the nearest exit and get out of that on the code orange. When we have a code red or a lockdown, please make sure that all doors are locked and that students are not at the door. I encountered a situation where the door was locked, but one of the students opened the door for me when I knocked. So just be aware that when it's a code red, your students know not to open the door for anybody unless there is a password. And if you guys have a question about what that password is, please see an administrator. A lot of you did a great job of keeping your kids away from the door, so that if someone was shooting, they could not hit the students because you got them on the same side of the room as the door. So that was a great job by you guys. Just make sure your doors are locked and that nobody opens the door. And the last thing, make sure we have a tornado drill and your students are out in the hallway, that we are keep our students very quiet in case we need to give directions. We need it to be quiet so those directions can be heard by everybody. Okay, we just skipped the BYOT slide, so we're going to talk about mandatory tutoring and academic attention. We want you to know that you guys can assign mandatory tutoring to students who continually fail to do missed work, from absences to retake tests or any other instances where students willingly neglect their assignments. After you've tried several times to get them to come in and do it and they just keep blowing it off, you can assign mandatory tutoring. Now we're going to call that academic detention, and we're going to let the student stay in the room with you. There is no need for a pink slip. If the student neglects to come to your academic detention, then you will need to write that up as a pink slip for skipping a detention. So please be aware that we are allowing teachers to do that this year, and hopefully by holding that over some kids' heads and telling them we're making them come to tutoring, that they will show up for that. As far as the STING tutoring program goes, let's just make sure, even if you're not on the list, that you are making yourself available for those students to get help. It's very important that we do everything in our power to help those students if they are willing to come to us after school for help. So please make yourself available even if you're not on the STING tutoring. We've been telling freshmen that all they have to do is ask for an appointment if a teacher is not on the STING tutoring schedule. We've said if you're on the STING tutoring, no appointment necessary, but if you're not on STING tutoring, just ask your teacher, and 9 times out of 10, they should be able to help you. All right. We're also going to continue conversing with failing students. Now, we converse with every 9th grade student, but we're going to continue this in November, conversing with just failing students in the upper grades. We feel it's very valuable to see those kids and talk to them one-on-one and do everything in our power not to let them fall through the cracks and to help them develop a plan to succeed. We do not have the exact dates at when we're going to do this, so we will be trying to get those to you in the near future. So please be attentive to any updates we send regarding this. We're going to try to get to the 10th graders by sitting outside the world history classes and pulling them out on a one-on-one basis. We'll try to get to the 11th graders by going to the human anatomy and possibly the chemistry classes. And lastly, we'll get to the 12th grade during their English Lit classes. And I realize there are 10th, 11th, and 12th graders who may not be in these classes, and we'll handle those on a individual basis as needed. So just be aware that that's something the administrators are planning on doing in the upcoming month. Last thing, this is from Mr. Johnson. Please be mindful to enforce all rules, and I shouldn't say it's from Mr. Johnson, it's from all administrators. Please be mindful to enforce all rules, even the ones that you may not agree with, such as tardies, cell phones, etc. It's very important that we keep up with those things. It's very important that we take attendance, and if we all do our part to hold the students accountable for the rules, then when we get to April or May, hopefully things won't be as crazy if we're holding accountable the whole time. Because if we start cutting them some slack now, by April or May, it's going to be crazy around here. And lastly, please be vigilant in checking an announcement so that your tests are not scheduled during major events such as the blood drive. I know that can be a distraction to you, and if you feel absolutely, if you feel very strongly that you need to give your test that day, that's understandable, but just be aware that it can be a big distraction to the students and could possibly cause them to do worse than they would normally do. So just be aware and check those events. I hope you've enjoyed the flipped classroom model of the faculty meeting. Some positive things this could do for us. If we're giving this type of instruction for homework as opposed to the type of homework we may have given in the past, a student would not be able to cheat on it as easily. In other words, you can't copy your neighbor the class period before. So it could cut down on cheating. It would make if we're wanting to assess them on their work that's done for homework, you don't often know if you're assessing them or their neighbor's work. So it could help cut down on cheating. It could help us, if you're out for school, you could still provide the same instruction that you would normally provide. I haven't done a whole lot of writing on this PowerPoint today, but it's very easy to do. And lastly, it would help us to, if this type of instruction was done outside of classroom, when you get into the classroom or when your students get into the classroom, you could be more of a guide beside the students as opposed to the giver of all knowledge standing in front of the class giving that knowledge. You would be able to differentiate your classroom more as opposed to giving whole classroom instruction. You could have different levels of students working on different levels of activities in your class. So once again, if anyone is interested in this type of lesson, just please see me. Hopefully when we get iPads, I will be giving a lot more group instruction on how to do this. Hope you've enjoyed it.